Welcome to Chick Chat with Unapologetically Karen, the podcast for women by women. I'm Karen Webb, architect, author, entrepreneur, creative junkie, and your host. Chick Chat is your resource for building your big, bold, and beautiful feminine life. So join me for some eye-opening and jaw-dropping dialogue that has people talking. Welcome back, friends. Welcome to Chick Chat. Today's guest is Cathy Ferris. She believes that belly laughs and having fun every day is the key to having peace and joy, which leads you to your richest life. She's on a mission to empower women to become financially literate and independent, helping them understand how to protect their assets within marriage, through divorce, and on their own. Cathy Ferris is a certified life coach specializing in conflict management, relationship growth, and overall happiness. Help me welcome Cathy. Hi, Cathy. Nice to have you.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. Can't wait to share my story.
Yeah, so let's start with, so I know that from having done my research and looking up a lot about you, it seems like you went through some changes in life that, like some of us, they made a big transformation, and your insights from that have been kind of what you are now helping others with. So help us to understand where that began. Where did this transformation begin? Where were you at in?
Yes. So I was married for 21 years. I have 4 children. I was an elementary school teacher before I had my children, and then ended up staying home with them pretty quickly. Within having my second one, I was home. And so I was home for many,
Mm-hmm.
many years. And at that time, when you're a stay-at-home mother, you give up really a whole sense of yourself and your identity. You're just known
Yeah.
as mom, and you're not bringing in your own money into the family. And it wasn't until I got a divorce that I realized how that impacted me for the negative, for sure. Going through a divorce, and many divorces aren't very amicable. Mine was very not good, toxic, a
Yes,
lot
yes.
of bitterness within the marriage. So I had no way out. And that feeling that you can't leave because there's no money, if there's no money coming
Yes.
in, if I don't have my own paycheck, where do I go? How do I start the process? If it's, not a good environment, I can't even leave. I can't get my own place. And so right away did I realize the importance of that for women.
Mm-hmm.
And going through the
Mm-hmm.
court system, realizing that as well. I feel my personal opinion is that the court system, there's so much corruption there, and money just being wasted between, attorneys, the judges, and having to file motions and contempts and all of that. It's just so much money that many, many women don't have to be able to spend and have someone back them and fight for them and do, their fiduciary responsibilities to fight for these women. And so you come out, you're in this lifestyle and you have children, and then you are now, where do I go? Where do I get a
Mm-hmm.
job?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I live? How can I help pay for my children's education and all their sports and all that stuff? And so I feel that here in 2024, it's so, so important that women start educating themselves while they are married. God forbid that they do go through a divorce and wait till they have to go through the divorce process to learn the hard way, like I
The
had to
hard
do.
way. Exactly.
Yep. And, so I'm in the process of actually creating a post-nuptial agreement workbook for married people, so that while everything is great and lovely within their relationship, they can take this and make it legal and protect their assets. Think of it like life insurance. I know so many people don't think it's necessary, that it's not going to happen to them. But if you asked every divorced woman if they thought it
Yeah.
was going to happen to them, they would say the same thing. Oh, it's not going to happen to me. And I also feel, I say to clients and to women, if you're the one that would say, oh no, my husband, he wouldn't do that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he might do
Mm-hmm.
this, but he would never do that. You're the one that needs the workbook the most, and you need to listen up to the
Yes.
women that have been through this before.
It's so true because you think, yeah, while you're in it. I mean, I myself too was divorced. It was a very messy divorce, took years to get through. And if you would have asked me years before, no way, he would never have cheated on me, this, that, there's just no way I would have landed myself in that. And then sure, there I was. But
Yes.
what's so interesting about what you're saying, and I had never really thought about it in that kind of framework, is that, you kind of gave up some of your identity, took on probably the most important role in the family, which is raising four children. I mean, one or two is a lot. Four, I'm my head spinning. I can't imagine how you did that. I'm sure my daughter, who now has two, is probably going, how did she do four? Because they're little ones, 3-month old and they're two. But you do that. And then you find yourself, when you want something different, you're kind of on this island by yourself because you don't have your own, you haven't established your own money, your own stuff, your own kind of security outside of this marriage. So very true. That
Absolutely. And I
makes you feel
don't
very stuck.
very, very stuck. I like to say, F stuck, be happy.
Okay, there you go.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it is the worst of when you feel stuck, and this is so relatable to anybody in any part of their life. When you feel stuck in anything, whether it's work, your marriage, your job, maybe the environment that you're living in, the state you live in, or whatever it is, everyone's felt stuck at some point in time. And it's really the worst feeling when you feel like there's no way out. And even though many times there is, because you financially, you have money that you could change a situation. So now you're not only worrying about yourself, but many women have children. So now you're worrying about all those
Mm-hmm.
little ducklings behind you, and you have no means of income. And as I said, you've been out of the workplace for a period of time where you definitely need to maybe take some classes or pick up some training, or because things are always
Yeah.
changing now in the world of
Always.
technology, right? And so now it's like, okay, well, where do I go? Who's going to hire me? And if if someone does hire me, how much am I really going to be making to be able to afford, living on my own and paying for all of this on my own?
Wow. Yes, definitely. How long ago were you divorced?
It's been 3 years, but
Okay,
it
so
took
not long. Yeah,
about,
you're
yeah,
still
it's
kind
still
of in the
new.
thick of it. Right. Yeah.
It took very long because it was COVID at that time. So
Yes,
that
yes.
was the worst, but it also started before COVID. And I feel like also when it wasn't cut and dry, it was, a family business. So there was some of that, it took longer to find certain
Mhm.
documents and things like that. So it was a very long time. I think it took like a
Yes.
total of like 4 years.
Yes, I think mine was similar, also a family business thing, messy and yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
So, yeah.
even now, when you say the two things that would change for, again, women, because we're obviously the primary caregivers that stay home. I mean, there's some women that are the breadwinners, but still, the percentage is very high with women staying home. And you look at your alimony or maybe child support. Those are usually two of the things that would change, post agreement. You look at that and no one ever says, "Hey, make sure you allot for if there is a situation like that." Because even if you feel like, say that there is a woman and she's in the right and that it should change the alimony or the child support, you still have to pay a retainer fee again, and that is maybe the lowest at 5,000, but you're going to be paying up to like 15,000 some of them. So you might know that, hey, I am in the right and I want to get this modified, but do I have the 10 grand to slap down again on another lawyer fee?
Yep, yep, absolutely. It's kind of a no-win situation other than for the attorneys in a lot of respects. So what is it
Yes.
so tell us a little about what is in this kind of document that you are encouraging women to do. What does that look?
So it's a workbook, and it's basically, people are more familiar, obviously, with prenuptial agreements. This is just post. So this is you're already married, and it would be asking any and all questions. And you can even create your own if there was something that was important to you that wasn't within, my workbook or another type of post-nuptial agreement, like assessment or guide. But it will go over just exactly how, your living situation right now, who would get the home, who would, maybe somebody would be bought out, or you'd sell the house, what would the percentage be,
Right.
depending on how many kids. It would go over everything. If you have children, what is the alimony, how much money would be paid based on that year. And you could have to maybe update it every 5 years, let's say. But
Right.
it would go over college expenses, college vehicles for when the kids turn 16. If you're going to get them a vehicle, who's paying for insurance, registration,
Yep.
gas, if they're not working, all of those things, retirements, if there's any inheritances, like who would be getting that, how would you split that. So anything that you can imagine, that when you're in the home, dogs, animals, who's paying for that, who would keep it, would you share it, or would one person keep it, but okay, I'll help still, god forbid they need surgery, or anything like that. Anything that you would think of that's going on in your
Right.
life in a
Wow.
marriage is something that you would have to then go over and kind of check it off, and have answers, concrete answers, and it would be legal. You'd have to stand by
Right.
it, god forbid, as I
Right.
said, if you're going down, down the road of divorce.
Right. That's so interesting because you're right. At that point, you can kind of amicably go through that. Later, it's just a big mess. And it immediately, the minute that that person walks out or leaves or whatever, even before the court case have started, you have no money. Like it happens instantly,
You have
where they
no
may just say,
money.
not paying you. I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. So I get it. You're
Yes.
instantly like, yeah, all of a sudden the bottom just fell out. Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost, it makes such sense, but as I said, it's still one of those things that I know a lot of people, a lot of women are going to think they don't need it. And as I said, it's like life insurance. It's the best analogy I could give. Like, a lot of people think, oh, they take their chances on that. But it is, God forbid, if you need it, you're so thankful you had it. Because if there is a post-nuptial agreement already signed and made legal, then if you are going down a divorce, it's basically, here you go. This is what we've already
Right. And
decided on.
maybe exactly. And maybe even then you just need a mediator and you just
Yes,
can finalize as opposed to, $50,000 going to
50
each
for
attorney
each.
each. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's so much, financially better for everybody, and feasible. And plus, there's just, you have so much emotions going through divorce, as it is. And then to have this piece, if it was there for me, it'd be like, oh my gosh, I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about any of this.
Yep.
And it would have made life, of course, much easier, even though of course emotions are there. But the long drawn out, battles, it's unfortunate, but that's how divorces go. Somebody's, emotion is going to always be heightened, or maybe more bitter or angry, and then that creates a whole
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
dynamic.
Absolutely. Wow, that's so interesting. I think that's huge because yeah, because as it is, the minute the divorce, begins, yeah, not only your emotions, but then your children, you're trying to deal with that. Everything is in flux. And if you have this whole all the paperwork, all the finances and these attorneys to figure out and be in court, it just makes the whole thing 10 times worse. Yeah. It's a great idea.
Absolutely. And I think, the kids, again, we always say it, but kids truly, they're the ones that end up hurting the most from this, and the attorneys end up winning the most financially through this. So
Right. Right.
it's like a lose-lose for the people that are really in it. So
Mhm.
how comforting would it be if you were getting a divorce and you knew, okay, I know who's staying in this house, and I know that even if I was moving out, if I had a post-nuptial agreement, and even if the man was staying in the house, there would be something that was said in there. Okay, but because she's at home, I'm going to allot for whatever amount for a new house or for rent for a house. And the
Mhm.
college is paid for, and this is what we're contributing. I'm going to give her 5 years to kind of she can get back into the workforce, but she's got 5 years. So, kind of work quickly here so that I'll pay for health insurance. That's another huge one, or pay for all those things. Like, you can take a deep breath, and your children aren't put in the middle, because I know
Oh
in
yeah.
many situations, right, it's like, oh, here's $20, go get the other 20 from your mom. It's such a tit for
Mhm.
tat that it's really so unfortunate, but that happens all the time.
All the time. Yeah. I think it's an amazing idea because you're also, I mean, if people would look at it instead, I'm sitting here thinking about this, it's really eye-opening because if you could look at it as just like a way to take care of your family, which is, so you're doing this when things are good, things are fine,
Hmm.
but should something come up, just like we have, life insurance for the kids one day, or for our spouse, same kind of thing. It's a way of looking ahead and going, we're going to take care of each other regardless, but let's figure it out now before we like get into this place where we're hating each other. And it's not about taking care of each other. Then it's just about winning, or, coming out on top of it. Yeah. It's,
Exactly. It does. And that's what
yes,
every divorce is. And I
this
said,
is
until
brilliant.
divorce becomes that, oh, my ex is so great on both sides. When a woman can say that, a
Right.
guy can say that. But until then, this is what, really should be done, because that's not how divorces end up. And it just protects
Yes.
everybody from that, the human beings to the house to the cars to all the assets that you've built
Yeah.
within that. So that
And
is
it's
my
interesting
biggest,
because it's
sorry.
huge because when you think about it, I was just going to say, there's how much do we pay in insurances and in other things, which maybe are a rarity, right, in our life, but we're still paying it because we don't want like the big fire to happen to our home, the big flood, whatever. We're still paying insurance on it. So because we want to be sure we're responsible, we take care of things. And yet you look at this, and divorces, I think right now it's like 50% of the people get divorces. So we're willing for the what, 2% chance our house is going to burn down to still have insurance on our house.
Yes.
But this is a 50% chance that we're going to be
Yes.
in this hell. Let's
Yes.
figure it out. I think that's brilliant. I really like your idea. I think a lot of women could really use that, especially those that, make the sacrifice to stay home with the kids, because the playing field is not level then, and it's not fair then once divorce happens. You're definitely at, in a much more difficult position.
Absolutely. And you're leaving divorce up to somebody if you don't have it, like myself, and you didn't have a post-nuptial agreement. I mean, I probably 1% has it, if that. But you're leaving it up to somebody who doesn't know you at all. Like if
Mhm.
you end up going to court before the judge, and you don't haven't settled, then that person who could have, I always say, yes, they're supposed to do the right thing, but let's be real, the world is the way it is, and if they don't like women, don't like men, you know whatever
Yeah.
the case may be, they get to decide your fate for the rest of your life, the way you're going to live.
Yep.
And
That's
who,
very
it
true.
just doesn't make sense. Have that all, you know, figured out well before you're ever in that situation. It really is so, so important that women talk about these things and really make it become normal, and just like
Right. How
anything
great
else.
would that be if it was, yeah, just normal? I mean, that's, you figure out things when you're getting married, like, are we going to have the same checking account? Are we going to put our money together? Are we not? Are we each going to put money to? So it's just sort of an extension of that. Yeah.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
So tell me, so you work individually with people on this then? How is it that you do your coaching? Tell me a little about.
Yes. So I work with women who are stuck in the should I stay or should I go phase of their, marriage or
Yes.
relationship, because that's another component of this where my heart truly goes out. It is so crazy to me, and you can answer this as well. When you were going through a divorce, didn't you feel so alone?
Oh gosh,
Like, I
yes.
felt
Very,
like I
very.
was so alone, and yet we just said it's 50%. Like, I could turn to the left and turn to the right now, and there's both people are probably divorced
Exactly.
or going through it, but yet you feel so alone.
Mhm.
So I work with women who are going through that, feeling that way. Like, I just remember feeling, is this really what I want? How do you know? Like, you almost wanted to ask Alexa if you could. Hey, Alexa,
Yeah, you're right. You're like, what do I do? Yeah.
yeah, like for some reason, right? It's so complicated. So I have a do a private coaching for a month where there's 3 sessions, where if you just kind of, want someone to talk to, figure it out, ask a few questions, or then I have a 6-month program where, same thing, it's one-on-one coaching along with guided like activities for them to follow throughout the week. And it runs for 6 months, and we talk twice a month. We can utilize, there's 12 different one-on-ones, so they can use it. So usually it's more in the beginning, kind of in the middle, because divorce is not a 6 month, it's not a
Right.
just 6 months. I think at most of them, even on a good divorce, last longer than that. So they can utilize that anyway. And then there's like unlimited texting, like through Voxer, that we can do throughout the
I
6 months.
see.
And I really just help them get clarity on it. Of course, I'm not, I'm looking at, they're answering what are your fears and what are your insecurities, and just trying to help them navigate through that. But of course, it's ultimately it's their decision, it's their life.
And
I'm
how do
just
you
kind of,
guide them? How do you, because that is, I can like, mine's been a long time ago. It was like 20 years now, but I can literally remember, like, as if it was yesterday, sitting in my car one day and thinking, I don't know which way to go with this. Like that feeling of like, so how do you help them kind of push the needle one way or the other? I mean, because that is such a spot where you're like, I don't want to make the wrong choice, you know?
yeah, so there's many things that we touch on in the first few sessions, because obviously I'm getting to know them. And of course, the first one is any type of abuse. That's first and foremost. Are you safe?
Yes.
What
Yes.
situation are you in? And then that would dive one way. And then if
Right.
she's okay in that situation, then we would move on. And one of the best examples that I can give you is asking, if you were going through divorce, and I would say, okay, tell me what your all-time favorite love story in a movie is. Like, think of either a book you read or a movie that you saw and it was just your
Hmm.
best, it's the best love story. And then write those things out. Why is that? What emotions are there? What do you feel when you see that?
Hmm.
And then tell me about your marriage. Write your marriage as it is for a love story, and
Wow.
have them circle what they have from the movie to theirs, and then see what's left. So, what did
Hmm.
you circle? What was not circled? How much do you have on one way or the other? And are you able to get those things, do you feel, in your
Right.
marriage? Now, for many people, especially if they've been, married longer, and they still have many things, like not many circled, then why is that? There's a big probably not going to happen, but
Right.
it's for
Right.
them to recognize. So it's really, what are they aiming after? What is their perfect lifestyle, their love story? What do they want their marriage to be? Knowing that, no marriage is perfect, but what
Right.
exactly, what's missing? What component is missing from it, from what
Hmm.
they love about this love story, and seeing if
Interesting. I
it's
like that.
capable in theirs. Because if
Right.
there's something there, okay, did you speak to you? How is the communication? Communication is the key
I
to
think it is
any
too.
relationship,
Yes.
friend to friend. You got to be able, have you said it? How have you said it? How many times? And it's a good way for them to really see exactly.
Hmm.
It's just an activity, but it's a great activity, because it's why.
Right.
Why is this so important to me? And why don't I have it over here?
Yes. Yes. Interesting. Oh, I think that's so fantastic. Wow. And so do you now, for most of them, is this so they're right? They come to you mostly when they're right in that deciding place or have just decided to start a divorce?
Yes. So it can be both. It can be, they don't know. They really feel stuck in the middle. And some want to work on it, like give it another last try. And then some are ready to move forward. And then that would be just me helping start giving them the proper steps to finding an attorney, what questions again to ask, what to, start gathering before you even go to that first appointment with an
Right.
attorney, things like that.
Right. Wow.
And then they'll,
Yeah.
it depends on how long and where they're at. If it's a 6 month, then are we still going to carry it on again for another 6 months, or are we good? Or you can just buy an individual month, and maybe, it's 6 months, and then, a few months go by, and then, okay, let's hop in, and I need to have you help me through this and guide me through this part of the divorce.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Hmm.
Really interesting. I think that would be
Yeah.
so helpful when so many women are in it, but yet they really don't know who to go to. It is, you're just at a loss. Yeah,
And it really at a
absolutely.
loss. And I feel like I know for myself, being very much feeling alone, but even when you were in your first moments of thinking, is this, do I want a divorce? I'm not happy. I don't know if you told even your closest girlfriends. I feel like women, we really hide and we're secretive about a lot of stuff because we're
Mhm.
also the
Mhm.
type to nurture and protect our ex or our partner
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
don't want someone feeling a certain way, because if you do stay with them, are they going to then now be biased to that person and feel a certain way,
Right, right.
right?
Oh, yeah, messy.
So, and messy. So I feel
Very.
like, again, if there's a way to, I love coaching people that don't know me and I don't know them. So I'm like, I say, a brutally honest BFF who's not really your BFF. So you can
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not. I'm not
Right.
going to judge whether you stay, go. I don't know you or him, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. You're just trying to look out for them. Yeah, absolutely. And now I know you talk about protecting your assets. Like explain that a little bit. How do you protect the assets that you may have going in? Is it part of the mutual aspect? I mean, what
So
do you
really,
help them?
again, yes, the assets that you've created once you're in, when you're in your marriage,
Yeah.
and if you're there and you're, there to stay, then there's going to be some things and that I'm going to have you do, or activities that's getting them lined up for your future from that moment going forward. Again, whether, you're working it out with your husband and trying to make it work, or navigating through divorce, it's just protecting what you have. Because
Mhm.
again,
Mhm.
so many women, when you're in the situation, looking at it as my situation, not bringing in any finances, and when the finances are pulled from you, how can you advocate for yourself with even finding a lawyer if there's no money? So, and
Mhm.
if you're not familiar with the legal system and how it works and what you should be asking for, or is this negotiable? Can I negotiate that, or is that a concrete? You don't get any of that 50%. How would you know? And so finances are so important to just have the literacy for it and
Yes,
understand
yes.
exactly what is yours, which is still upsetting because here we are and it's not taught in schools, and it's definitely not something that's pushed for women. For
Mhm.
men and in young men, it's very much guided to how are you still going to provide, and wanting to be a boss, a CEO. And for women, it's not. It's still, we're very much in a nurturing position.
Right. Very true.
And so
Wow.
again, like my dream would be like, hey, let's get this into the school systems and let's educate and build on not kind of never giving up your own identity. Where are you going to work? Always being able to dabble into the workforce and pick a career or find a way that you can make money, even if you choose to work part-time. All of those avenues, rather than being
Mhm.
relying on somebody for your well-being.
Yeah, that's interesting because in fact, I was just talking to someone yesterday about how, you know, our whole culture has kind of evolved from first it was just the moms were at home taking care of the kids. This is, historically,
Hmm.
and the dads were out there working. And then we got into where and nowadays too, it's like it's pretty hard for a family to have just one income. I mean, the way the world is right now, it's like every family needs to have two incomes, it seems like. So then the moms have been out working as well, if that's the case. And then they need the childcare. And so then you've got that element, or the mom stays home because you finally go, well, that's just about as much as I'm making. What is the point?
Yes.
But yeah, but then to not lose your identity in that, that is very true. I know for me, when I discovered the cheating and all of that, and then I made the decision, I can't stay in this. This is, I still try, we still tried to work. And then I realized, okay,
Sure.
the cheating is still going on. This is pointless. But it was like I had just been dabbling as kind of, in my work, just between when the kids were napping or this or that, or I would work at night or the weekend, but I was mostly raising the kids. And so you're right. Then it became when all the money just stopped, when he decided, well, I'm just not going to pay you anything then it was like, what? Like, what do you do? And it became, I felt like overnight I had to make the hobby my actual big career to try to keep everything together. And you're right. It's like a, you're completely sideswiped and with no plan as to how to handle it.
with
Oh,
absolutely no plan. And I feel, I really want women to, it's a long road. What I want,
yeah,
what my feel, my story to try to educate. But again, I can say I've been there, like you said, oh no, my husband would never do that, or this wouldn't happen. Right. And then here we are. And I know so many other women are going to
oh,
hear
me
this
too.
and lurch, be listening to you or I, and they're gonna be like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. It will be a long time, unfortunately, but I feel like the more that we speak about it and the more that we educate young women who are
Mm-hmm.
married, I feel like, we do. There's so much for divorced women out there, which is awesome. It's so amazing. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. But rather than looking and talking about the after, like now a single woman being divorced, let's hone in on before it starts, before the problems arise. Try to educate married women who, while everything their husband just loves them so much,
Mm-hmm.
that's the time to come together and figure out this agreement. And how are we going to navigate divorce? God forbid
Mm-hmm.
we were ever, this would happen to us, and taking care of everything, have it spelt
Yeah,
out
yeah,
so that there's you're just, again, protecting your assets, protecting the home that you have. You might not have made money, and I hate that within the court system. That's why I say it's corrupt, because so many stay-at-home moms, it's like you're privileged to stay home, but privilege, you give up your identity, your means of working, in the workforce and being
yeah,
up to date in whatever year it is, that you could just go right back in and start
right.
working. And that's not realistic. And so if you take, a woman, you put her go through this divorce, she cannot pay for, look at today, 2024, how expensive it is for homes, for your own
Oh,
insurance,
yeah.
for a car. Your car breaks down, you need a new car. Okay, you got food, you have four
Mm-hmm.
kids, you have two kids. It's so, so expensive. And there, I mean, again, too many women are being left with nothing, and
Yep.
being grateful for, $100 a week for four kids. And that's completely not fair and not just.
Yeah. Well, I love that you're well, two things. I love this whole idea. Really, I think it's phenomenal. I look back and think, wow, if something like that had been in place, what a difference that would have made for me. And I can think of so many friends who've gone through the same thing. But I love the fact that you've taken, what was a hardship, a bad, difficult moment in your life or years in your life,
Yes,
and turned that into teaching something and helping others see that, because I really think you're onto something, because it's and especially, the roles are getting so, and I think it's something that has to keep evolving, because like there are certain generations right now that I hear that, like, for example, the millennial generation supposedly has the most entrepreneurial women in it. Like, it is the women that are owning their own businesses and the men are staying at home. So it's constantly changing. And it's just that generation that has that. I don't think the others are doing that. And it wasn't like that prior to. But regardless, it's not a level playing field. So either way, and there should be some way to kind of make that easier for a family unit as a whole.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
speaking on that with a millennial, a woman I know, she just had a baby, 28, and they had their first child, and the baby is 2 months old. And she had her first, take or taste of, every mothers that approach me will say, is he babysitting your baby? And even the language that we use, he's not babysitting, this is his child, he's
Yeah.
watching his child,
Yeah.
and she said it's pretty amazing, because people will look at her. And again, it's important for, I will say, it's more women, and women need to support women and
Hmm.
not be judgy, because you're not living
Exactly.
in
No,
anyone's
exactly. And
shoes. And I say that, I defend women in the sense, I know why women can be nasty or why they're cutthroat, because society has created us to be this way. because we're still not
Mm-hmm.
equal. So we're always like trying to
Right.
climb and prove ourselves, and I'm worthy,
Right.
and I can be a CEO too. And then you're halfway there and you get knocked down. And so we've been taught to fight in that nasty way. But until we can come together and not judge and treat women and men equally, and I wanted to use that story because it just shows that even though things are changing, like you just said, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there, which is, yes, love that. It's still so men can go and work, and they should work, and they don't have to worry if the baby's sick and this and
Mm-hmm.
that. It's
It's
just,
still
so now you got
mostly,
women who want
yep.
to work full
Yep.
time and make, and have their identity and have their career, but yet, oh, you still got to stay home from work if the baby's sick, or you've got to do this. So, it's very hard for women. And so this is, let's come together as women and support one another and truly not judge. Because listen, we all got shit going on,
Yeah,
and we're all
exactly.
trying to get to the same spot, right? Like, just
Yep.
support
And
one another.
everybody's life is different. You may be, you may have the mental, like, you maybe don't want to sit at home and do that. Maybe you really do want to. Who knows? Everybody has their own choice, their own. Absolutely. There's so many different avenues people can take. And not all of us women are the same. Some want to do, I wanted to juggle both and did, though there were days I probably wanted to tear my hair out.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
vividly
I'm
remember.
sure.
But yeah, you just try to find your way. But I think this is a great idea. And so if people want to get a hold of you either for the 1 month or the 6 month or, any kind of one-on-one, your website is the best way. Is that right?
Yes, go to cathyferris.com. You can get in touch with me, hit that link, or you can take my free quiz, which is Am I Happy quiz. Take that quiz, see what your results are, and I'll get your information that way, and we can go from there. But I'd
Perfect.
love to
Wonderful.
help women that are out there, that are listening to this, that feel so incredibly stuck, feel alone, feel like they have nowhere to turn.
Yes.
Definitely, I am here for you. There's other women out there for you, cheering you on. And life can be great whether you're trying to stay in the marriage and make it work, or whether you're navigating and starting the divorce
Right.
process. Promise, I'm here. You're here.
Yes.
We're
And they
proof in
need
the
to remember,
pudding.
and it does get better, and it does get better. It does finally
Yes,
get resolved. So even though you're in the thick of it and you think it's never going to end, and it can be really depressing. Yeah,
yes.
it can get there. So thank you so much, Cathy. I really appreciate having you today.
Thank you so much. I loved being here. It was so much fun. And thank you for letting me kind of educate, tell my story to other women. And I
Absolutely.
really hope this resonates with even one woman out there, that I'm doing what I'm meant to do.
Yes, and it's an important one to tell. So thank you so much. And thanks everybody for joining us today. And we are always here to share insights, support one another, empower one another. So just remember to keep on chatting, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Welcome to Chick Chat with Unapologetically Karen, the podcast for women by women. I'm Karen Webb, architect, author, entrepreneur, creative junkie, and your host. Chick Chat is your resource for building your big, bold, and beautiful feminine life. So join me for some eye-opening and jaw-dropping dialogue that has people talking.